Welcome one and all to a slightly different video this week. You'll see I'm not in my usual office. I'm here at Disney's Vero Beach resort instead, a DVC exclusive location that was opened a few decades ago, specifically designed to try and expand the DVC resort. What are we going to do? We're going to go for a look around. I'll walk around, talk to you about a few different bits and answer some interesting questions about this place. You'll see I've been bitten all over my forehead by mosquitoes, which is something else I will come on to about this lovely place on the east coast of Florida. So join me as we go for a walk around. If any of you have been to the east coast of Florida before, you'll see that this is slightly different in terms of the decor that you might get on this part of the country. Importantly, this is a DVC only resort, and you'll see that there's clearly a lot of people arriving at this time. So there's an actual gate check-in you have over there, in which you must show your identification to get onto the location. There's a lot of cars around here that have got Disney specific plates. As you'd imagine, this is a place that I imagine quite a few locals come to. Despite being British, I think the only accent I've heard other than ours has been Australian, and that's not too common around these parts. When you walk in, usual, I'll never get bored of that, but you come into the atrium here and you're instantly brought to this sort of wood panel, slightly old school approach that has got, you know, railings up on 4 stories, and so this main part of the building here houses a spa, houses a restaurant of sorts called the Green Cabin Room. It gets really busy around here about 5:30 because every single day at 5:30, and I kid you not, they have a competition for throwing paper airplanes. It almost looks like a war zone. It's quite funny. One of the things I have noticed here is that the staff are very friendly. You'd expect that at any Disney location, but here they seem to be particularly good, in part because, you know, you are 2 hours east of Disney from here. They have got some entertainment systems for the little ones. They've got switches over here. They got an Xbox 360, which is quite old school now if you think about it. Some PS4s over there and another Switch. One of the highlights of this place has been the spa, which is located at the far end of that corridor. Not a cheap spa, may I add, but a spa nevertheless. It's pretty interesting that the amount of people that come here and actually still go to Disney, despite the fact that it is about a 2-hour drive away. We didn't think anybody else would, but Americans all have a different concept of driving distances than the rest of us. So as you walk in, you'll come into the main door and you'll turn left, you go to the wonderful reception desk with people working there. I'm a big fan of this high ceiling, the wooden beams. From an architecture perspective, it's actually quite pretty. There is, as you'd expect, a gift shop in the corner with some basic foods and also some jewellery and things. For those of you who collect Pandora bracelets, this is the first year that Vero Beach has had its own resort-specific Pandora charm. After discounts, about $65. We spoke to the staff in there, and she was saying that this location has about 98% of people who visit here come from already existing DVC members and their guests, rather than actually paying to come separately. I'm walking around about lunchtime today on what is a Sunday. It's quite a warm day, sort of in the mid-90s from an American's perspective, and sort of 30 odd degrees from everybody else in the world perspective. But this is the Wind and Waves Grill. Went there a couple of days ago. Some decent foods. Let's go and have a look at the menu. You'll see that there's the breakfast menu and the dinner menu. The prices are relatively suitable. You know, if we actually get down to the main courses here, the idea of your fish and chips, which of course I had that, I am British, $29 is pretty reasonable. From the stuff from the land, as they call it there. Tenderloin at $35 is not outrageous, and so I didn't have a dessert, I must confess. I was carb loading before a race and I'd already eaten far too much that day. Moving back out then, it's just the usual things, restrooms on one side, in addition to a quite nice galleon model here, built in the 1920s. The walls are strewn with art, as you would imagine, filling up space and these sort of things. And here's another little seated recreational area. You'll find that at some point during the day they put jigsaws out, and actually one of the things that this entire resort reminds me of is very much a cruise ship sort of vibe. If you've been on a cruise before, not necessarily a Disney cruise, but if you've been on a cruise before, thank you, you will recognise that sort of feeling. So there's different rooms, and we happen to be staying in a ocean view room. I'll give you a tour of that before I depart the resort in a separate video. As you come out here, what you can't see is the sea just beyond here. There's the main building, which has got all these rooms associated to them, but they also have cabins as well a little bit further down. So I'm going to go one down, I'll show you some. So now I'm moving through to the pool area. I'm obviously not going to do too much filming for pretty obvious reasons, but there's a poolside bar there. The pool itself is pretty impressive, along with a hot tub. There is also this slide as well, which is really decent. Here's what separates Vero Beach apart from most other DVC resorts and Disney resorts in general. We're walking now towards the beach. This is the Vero Beach private beach, which I'm not going to get too close, but you can see, look how fantastic that view is. The waves thrashing. It's a really nice environment, and this is a simple beach access point. I happened to be running along the beach yesterday as sunrise was coming up. It was beautiful. There are turtles on the beach, which, let's go for a slight wander. I don't know if you can see, there are some coned off areas. These are turtle nests, and the idea is that these areas are slightly protected. Turtles will of course hatch, etc., and then move down to the beach, and depending on what time of season you're here, here's a great example of one right there. Depending on what time of year you're here, it's really quite a sight. But what I will say, there's something called no-see-ums. There's a more specific thing, but I guarantee you can't see them, but you feel like you're being bitten alive by 1,000 little bugs. So at the resort there are loads of different points which they've got liquid lotion to be able to put on you that's supposed to be bug resistant. Honestly, it is actually one of the major drawbacks of this resort. I hadn't seen that as a thing before coming here. This sign here, dark beaches leads to bright horizons. What I'm trying to get at is that at night, none of the lights in this resort are actually white. They all got an orange hue to them. And the idea and reason behind that is because what you'll find is that when turtles hatch, they want to go towards the moonlight, they want to go towards the sea. But what scientists have discovered is that if you have bright white lights, they actually get that confused with others. So they're all in this orange hue instead. Put these little signs around and give you a little bit of history. And here's the backside view of the slide. It's very busy in the pool today. I am filming this on a Sunday though. Naturally, as with every DVC resort, on the Friday and Saturday, the points room per night are more. Again, I'll give you a far more detailed tour of my room in a couple of days' time. One of the things I find quite cute about this is there's actually a full 9-hole mini golf course. There's a little rental store in which you can pick up various different apparatus, whether it be for the mini golf, whether it be for other things. You'll see now we're walking down, and this is where you get the cottages. I'm obviously not going to be able to go in them, but these are 2- and 3-bedroom entire buildings in which you could have your entire family in there with a great view out to the beach. I actually think that this resort is pretty good for maybe 3 or 4 days. There's lots of activities that they put on during the day in the various different either restaurants or in the main atrium itself, which is what I think gives it this sort of cruise ship kind of vibe. As we move through towards where some of the cottages and the vacation homes are, it's just a little bit quieter. Nature is doing its thing. There's all these little bunny rabbits around which are really cute. Oh, sorry buddy, I got too close, I scared him off. I do think that this resort overall is pretty decent, but for those that don't know, the dues for this are the most expensive per point. Last time I checked, they were just over $14 per point. That's about 50% more than any other DVC resort, and that is causing a lot of consternation when it comes to resale value. I honestly don't think that come 2042, when all the contracts are up, I actually think this resort will end up being sold, passed on to somebody like Hilton or another independent company, because there is just not the pickup that I'd expected. Whilst I said yes, the pool looks busy this time of day, especially for a weekend, honestly there's not too much here. And you can see this is the end of the resort. We've walked the entire length of it. You find me another resort that Disney has where you can walk from one side to the other in literally less than 5 minutes. It doesn't exist. So even though this does have some appeal in terms of the beach, it has appeal in terms of, you know, being slightly away from Disney resorts as a whole, people go and buy DVC because they want to be near the parks. They want that experience, and that's why this and Hilton Head, in my opinion, come 2042, are going to be sold off because nobody wants to buy them. With that said, if you are interested in the DVC resale market, you can go online and look at some of the options. You'll find that Vero Beach is really cheap to buy, in part because of the expensive dues per point, in part because the 7-month out rule that doesn't help you get the property you may want on Walt Disney World or California, and finally because 2042 is coming up and you don't really have the contract for that long. Here's another bunny rabbit. So thank you folks for coming on this little wander around Vero Beach. You'll see it's not the biggest resort, you'll see it doesn't have the most amenities in the world. I can see why it could be of an appeal. I came here for a separate reason. I was doing a race at Vero Beach, so staying at the DVC resort 5 minutes down the road made the most sense to me. With that said though, if you do have any thoughts, comments, queries, as always, please let us know in the comment section down below. Lauren unfortunately isn't here to point at the ticker that doesn't exist, but if you'd like to follow us on Instagram or TikTok, that is at monorailmemoirs, feel free to contact us via email, monorailmemoirs@gmail.com. And as always, please stand clear of the doors. Bye everybody.